Well, welcome back to the second part of this interview. As we're suffering from beginner's luck, our Skype connection fell down a few minutes ago. But anyway, John, can I pass the conversation back to you, and we can perhaps pick up on the last question that I asked you. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, David, well, picking up where you left off, your point about the university being effectively, at least up until now, a cartel, where effectively, as any cartel, they're price makers, not price takers. They supply the market what they effectively want to supply, and that their underlying objective effectively is to finance what they've done up till now, which is research, expansion, building projects, you name it. I think, as with all cartels, the problem is there's new suppliers on the market. New universities entering the field, new ways of people getting a higher education, new information technologies, online education, etc. And I think this cartel is starting to break down. The elite institutions will be fine. There'll always be a demand for the Princetons and the Harvards and the Oxfords, but I think the second and third tier universities are going to find it hard going and probably have to either lower their prices or raise their game, or a combination of both. And I think there's one other point that follows from your earlier remarks. When these were elite institutions, when less than 4% of the high school graduates went on to university, they really were a guarantee of a job, or at least a good shot at the best kind of jobs. But now you're in a world where it's not 4% of high school graduates, it's 40% and plus of high school graduates. And supply of university graduates on the market is overwhelming demand. We're now in this bizarre situation where what we used to call the trades, and have now, of course, been rebranded as technologists or information managers or hotel entrepreneurs. That's where the demand lies, and it's the kids who don't go on to university now and who decide to follow what used to be an apprentice or a trade are finding themselves in actually a very good situation because of the simple operation of supply and demand. Less supply, more demand. Their salaries are at least secure, and if not, quite substantial. Whereas if you're the average English literature or history or sociology graduate, you find yourself at the gold-plated degree that no one particularly wants.
Yeah, this regrettably is absolutely true. And if you look at the amount of money that surrounds these institutions, you've got student housing businesses with people making real estate fortunes out of students. You've got catering businesses. You've got everything to do with lodging the students in their early years in the school halls, the catering and everything else that goes with it. It's turned into a great big money-making machine, which has got little or nothing to do with the student, apart from the fact, like any other business, they just want to increase their volume. And the cartels, at the end of the day, their function is to work together to protect themselves, aided and abetted by the government. And of course, in terms of regulation, they are going to make regulations which perpetuate the iniquitous nature of what they're actually doing. There are, in fact, in America, there are some moves going on at the moment to try and provide low-cost degrees. And, I can only laud this as a very good solution, because educating people, the ultimate purpose is preparation for the workplace. And what makes a difference in a workplace, as we know, is the fact that you can actually be hands-on and do something. So the garage mechanic, when he fixes your burst exhaust pipe, you can see tangibly he's done something for you. But if you have someone sitting there with a psychology PhD, you really have to ask yourself, what is this person going to go and do for me? And if you look around the world, instead of there now just being a few 100,000 of excess people, we have entire countries which are producing graduates of admittedly very doubtful quality, although the quantity, you cannot doubt it. I think in China there's 600,000 engineering graduates produced in one single year. Now, goodness me, what do you do with these people? You give them aspirations, you give the assumptions that they're going to change the world, and they can do it at the flick of a pen by writing a good extended essay at university. But in reality, when you try to integrate them into society, they've got nothing to offer whatsoever. Apart from an accumulation of debt and 4 years of partying at the expense of the state. But you and I didn't miss out completely on the partying, but the budgets were low enough that it remained a reasonable thing, and we certainly were not sitting at home with Apple computers to show for it.
No, it wasn't that big partying day.
So where do you see it all going from here? If you're trying to look forward 5 years in the educational structure to the time when our respective daughters are graduating or about to graduate or have recycled into doing a real job, how do you see the future of the educational industrial complex?
Well, at some level, I feel sorry for our kids. I mean, on the one hand, we all talk about this is the most spoiled and entitlement entitled generation in history. They have so many choices, they have so many options, so many things they can do. But of course, it's precisely that. That's also a curse. On the other hand, they have so many choices, so many options, so many things to do. I mean, there's a real sense, and I think our two daughters are obviously exceptions to this, being such clever and motivated and principled young women. They're going on to do great things. I don't worry about them, but what's quite clearly the case, and this goes for not just a university education, I think it's true of anything in this era that we live in, nothing is guaranteed anymore. We really are in a demand-driven world. The market decides what's valuable, and for kids that have get up and go, that are entrepreneurial, that have a good brain and a good work ethic, the sky's the limit right now. Perhaps whether you go to university or not, but even university, the sky's the limit. You've got endless choices. For kids that don't have those qualities, I think it's going to be a very difficult world. I mean, it gets back to a point you made earlier, David, that we really are seeing a division of the world. The middle is disappearing, or as Tyler Cowen put it in his recent book, average is over. If you are at the top, you're going to be even more rewarded for being at the top. If you have skills, you're going to be even more rewarded for having skills. But not everyone is at the top. Not everyone has skills. And for those that don't, it's going to be a tough world. So we are, on the one hand, we've gained by having all these choices and all this empowerment and this highly individualistic society. For the go-getters, it's great. But for the people who aren't go-getters, it's not great.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely right. We're coming to the end of our time, but I think that what children have to realize is whatever they do in that life, they have to do it very well, whether it is being good as a tennis player or good as a basketball team player or whatever. And they have to be committed to what they do, and they have to take possession of what they do and have pride in what they do and follow through. And if they can do all of those things, they will achieve success, because someone will recognize that there's someone that can be relied upon. They're going to actually perform. They're going to be there at 2 a.m. if that's when the job has to be done. They're going to turn up the following day and work regardless. And these are the qualities. And at the end of the day, you start coming to the point of saying, well, what of the 4-year degree program? Does it bring anything at all? And increasingly, the answer, I think, is going to be no. And then you come down to doing the calculation of the return on investment on education. And all I can say is a return on investment for private equity funds that invest in this sector, real estate agents who invest in this sector, people who are providing computers and equipment and to the colleges, and those running the bars in and around the university have a very acceptable level of return. And the only message for the students who may or may not listen to this, advice from one grey-haired old guy and one darker-haired younger guy going the same direction, is be very careful, because if you don't face up to the underlying realities your university diploma is not going to save you.
Absolutely. Let's talk with David.
Okay, John. Well, look, thank you very much. It's always a pleasure. Thank you for being my first guest. It's an unusual subject, but it's just one that touches both of our hearts at the moment, and I hope that the listeners enjoy it.
Thank you, David.
Have a nice day. Ciao.